petroleum industry regulator. Today, our focus is on Nigeria's sedimentary basins, which are the rock formations that contain crude oil and gas. Now, in Nigeria, there are seven of these formations. In today's episode, we'll get to know which division within the Department of Petroleum Resources is responsible for doing the background work before oil and gas blocks are allocated. Now, how are they done? That's pretty much a big question. Now, how transparent is this bid round? All this and many more after the tidbits. The Crude Oil Delivery and Refinery Performance Review meeting for September of 2018, recently hosted by the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, at its Lagos headquarters premises, witnessed an impressive turnout of representatives of the nation's refineries, indigenous oil companies, that's the IOCs, as well as DPR field officers. The Deputy Director and Head Downstream Division of DPR, Mrs. Ijoma Onyeri, welcomed attendees, after which the meeting got quite busy with various other items on its agenda. The high point of the gathering's activities was the presentation of individual reports by participants. Mrs. Onyeri later spoke with our correspondent.
We have come to reconcile the figures to make sure that all the reports we get from the refineries tally with what DPR has. As a regulatory arm of the government that oversees the oil and gas, inclusive of the refineries, is that we will continue to monitor.
The consumption of crude oil worldwide will attain the 100 million barrels per day mark by the last quarter of this year. Now, OPEC scribe Mohamed Barkindo disclosed this in Cape Town, South Africa recently. The OPEC chief added that this level is being attained sooner than projected, and that in doing so, stabilizing the forces which create conditions conducive to attracting investments are essential. Now, OPEC had predicted that in the years leading to 2040, required global oil sector investment are estimated at $10.5 trillion. Now, this to meet the future world oil demands, which are expected to surpass 111 million barrels per day by 2040. But with the daily consumption accelerating to 100 million barrels per day by fourth quarter of 2018, and with U.S. sanctions staring Iran in the face, OPEC seems challenged to work hard to protect the country from the possibility of losing its market share by keeping up adequate supplies. Welcome back. Now, on this segment of the program, we'll take the background report, which explains the rock formation that bears oil and gas. Now, it will also take a look at where such rock formations are found in Nigeria, and it will amaze you. I mean, it really will amaze you. And also, we'll also look at the processes put in place by the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, through two key branches before oil and gas blocks are auctioned.
Geologists believe that many major depositions resulted in the formation of about 7 sedimentary basins in Nigeria where active petroleum exploration activities can be carried out. They are the Anambra Basin, Benue Trough, Benin Basin, Borno or Chad Basin, Niger Delta Basin, and Sokoto Rima Basin. Geophysicists and geologists have shown that the Niger Delta Basin has maintained a thick sedimentary apron and salient petroleum geological features favorable for petroleum production, expulsion, and trapping from the onshore through continental shelves and to the deep offshore terrains. Though other basins have also shown signs of availability of crude oil and gas, hence the partitioning forbidden. In 1956, the first commercial onshore discovery was made in Oloibiri by Shell. About 7 years later, Chevron discovered the Okan field. the first commercial offshore field in 1963. That explains why, among the sedimentary basins in Nigeria, aggressive exploration has been concentrated in the Niger Delta. However, the responsibility maximizing the potentials of all the sedimentary basins in Nigeria lies with the Department of Petroleum Resources. The department divides the basins into blocks and puts them up for offer for investors to prospect, explore, and produce crude oil and natural gas. The process is better known as bidding. A branch in the office of the Director of the Department of Petroleum Resources responsible for the bids is the Basinal Assessment and Lease Administration, or BALA for short. BALA's primary duty include block selection and data collation, review of guidance notes for marginal fields and open block for the bid round, and prepares bid round as well as bid round packages. Others include engagement of technical service providers and formation of bid round committee. The BA, Basinal Unit, is responsible for evaluating the hydrocarbon potentials of the Nigerian sedimentary basins, while the LA, Lease Assessment Unit, administers and manages oil and gas acreages.
This administration plays an important role in supporting the department to meet its organizational goals and targets. Basically, the lease administration manages the acreage allocation in Nigeria. For us to achieve that purpose or objective, we organize bid round for the allocation of oil block. We process application for the conversion of oil prospecting license. That is what is called OPL to an OML. We also process application for the conversion or for the renewal of oil mining leases. Fourthly, we process application for the assignment of interest from the original owners to the investors.
One key aspect of the basinal assessment's function is the need to understand how good the basins are. The basins are then coordinated into blocks, and the federal government's aspiration for reserve growth and replacement of Nigeria's depleting hydrocarbon resources are fulfilled. Basinal activities include speculative survey activities, concession monitoring activities, and GIS mapping, as well as crude oil and gas production attribution.
The spec survey is a kind of survey conducted in open or elk acreage. And the resulting data from it, they are made available to any prospective investors for licensing. And this survey we are talking about could be geophysical or geological. So it is the duty of basinal assessment team that determines the data and resources that are available in these candidate blocks.
Speculative survey activities can be broken further into ensuring adequate data storage and management, making sure that government's share of revenue generated from speculative data sales are paid promptly, maintaining a data of speculative survey in Nigeria, and initiating programs to ensure relevant data required in all frontier basins. Others include monitoring of speculative survey projects through participation in data acquisition, processing, and interpretation stages of the project, and conducting of annual technical and financial audit of surveyed projects at location of the data sets.
Basinal assessment, it is structured into three. We have multi-client unit, regional studies unit, and mapping and attribution unit. The multi-client unit They are the ones that handle the availability of data and resources, while the regional studies unit oversee the hydrocarbon prospectivity of the Nigerian sedimentary basins, whereas the mapping and attribution, they keep the database of all coordinates of all oil and gas wells drilled in Nigeria.
Basinal assessment is also responsible for in-house digitalization of Nigerian concession map, making them available to interested parties, handling of Nigeria's cross-border treaties with neighboring countries, and submission of contract surveys on re-coordinated and relinquished blocks.
We also handle Nigerian cross-border treaties with other neighboring countries. For instance, Nigeria, Cameroon, Mixed Commission, Nigeria, South Tome bilateral treaty, and Nigerian, Equatorial Guinea bilateral treaty. Also, we provide information when it comes to mapping.
Activities of lease administration include management of acreages award process, block conversion, block renewal, assignment of interest, and block relinquishment. Others include license and lease extension and reallocation of blocks.
Bid round is a process of allocating the open blocks, to the investors. It's not done on a regular basis. The process means, we have to identify the open blocks. We have to, prepare the data, that the available data in those blocks. We have to inform the investors that the government is going to organize the bid round.
In the process of delineation and allocation of oil and gas blocks in all basins in the country, basinal assessment and lease administration play crucial roles in all the efforts to increase Nigeria's oil and gas reserve.
Welcome back. I'll be handing you over to Antonia Amusu for a chart. Now, this chat is with the Deputy Director and Head Bala Branch for more on the Nigerian sedimentary basins and what it takes to award oil and gas blocks.
Today, we'll be meeting the Deputy Director and Head Basinal Assessment Lease Administration in the Department of Petroleum Resources and in the person of Mr. Sani Hassan. Mr. Hassan, you're most welcome to this segment of the program.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
We'd like to start by asking you, when we talk of Basinal Assessment and Lease Administration, what are we talking about?
Look at the name. It's in two sections, Basinal Assessment and Lease Administration. There are two functions put together in one. In the basinal assessment, what we do is we assess the basins in Nigeria where hydrocarbon occurs, oil and gas occurs. That's one function of the department. They will look at all the basins like Chad Basin, Niger Delta Basin, Sokoto Basin, Dahomey Basin, where possibly oil and gas could occur. It's our duty to go there, assess those basins, carve out oil blocks in those basins, and get it ready for a bid process. The other unit, too, you hear lease administration. We manage the lease or the license in the oil blocks. That's what we do. After assessing those basins, carve out the oil blocks. So if government is ready, they will give us the go-ahead to prepare for a bid round. So it is those blocks from the basins that we put on offer for investors to come and bid, and then occur oil blocks. So these are also part of this thing. Then other things we do after in managing the oil lease, we do what we call conversion of an oil prospecting license to an oil mining license. We also manage the administration of the oil block itself.
So from what you have explained to us, what is the situation now in terms of your assessment and finding new blocks and allocating them. Where are we today?
We are all over the country. That's basically. We have, first of all, the Niger Delta is a well-developed basin. That's where most of our production, almost all the production come from, is we call it well-developed basins. So what we do now, we go to what we call inland basins, like the Chad Basin, the Sokoto Basin, the Anambra Basin, Dahomey around Lagos, and other areas. So that's where we are now, looking for possible hydrocarbon occurrence in such basins. Currently, we are working with the NNPC, a branch of NNPC that's called Frontier Exploration Services, FES. So my staff are with them, they work with them, and they give a weekly report, monthly report on progress of the assessment of those basins. Yes, basically what they do, they acquire what we call seismic data. It is that data that we interpret that can give us the possibility of hydrocarbon occurrence in those basins.
I know that Chad Basin has been in the news for a long time. What's the update now? Are we close to, or have we found anything in the Chad Basin?
Chad Basin has not had some activity for a while because of the insurgency occurring in that place. For now, the activity there is suspended. But the government is making efforts because by our neighbors, Cameroon, Chad, they have discovered hydrocarbon. It is the same basin that extends to Nigeria. So we believe that deeper search could also give us some hydrocarbon there.
Can you explain to us the difference between the open acreage and the ones carried out by individuals when we talk of exploration and production of companies?
Yeah. What we mean by open acreage is those acreages or blocks that have not been allocated to anybody. We have some of them. Like if we do the basin assessment, we carve out block. It's not allocated until a bid round has been conducted. Then somebody bid and then win the bid. So those that are not allocated is what we call open block. So we go out there. This is just an understanding between some investors and the government. We call them and say, okay, they have the machinery to do the search, the seismic acquisition. We say, okay, let's give you a contract. Go and acquire data for us within a particular area. It's between we and them, no any investor there. Their own duty is to acquire the data.
So when you say you said there are already some of these acreages that they have worked on and they are there, when open, waiting for government to give approval for you to now. When last did we have any of these things put out for people to bid on?
Well, you know, certain things is beyond our level too. Because actually, our own is to be ready, have those blocks ready. The moment government feel that they need to increase reserves, increase production, increase investment, they will give us a go-ahead. Okay, DPR, go ahead and organize a bid round for this number of blocks and then put it into the open market for people to bid. So we are just waiting for that bill to be.
Is it possible to know how many of these acreages are waiting for government to give approval for you to now open bids on?
Well, for currently, we have a lot, over 200 blocks now available in Nigeria. But government will not put all. They will ask you, okay, put 20. You know, future generation to need to have something. So government, and you know, we also have another issue too, because we are in OPEC.
Okay.
So in OPEC gives you
production output
yes, cap.
Okay.
So we are also looking at that because you don't want to give something that you cannot produce. So that's part of what is guiding the decision.
Yeah, we know that exploration, a lot of it, like you have already mentioned, is concentrated in the Niger Delta area. What are you doing to encourage and carry out more search, so to say, in other places?
Actually, we are doing a lot, in fact, more than a lot. Currently, we are active in Benue Trough, around Benue, Gombe area. We are also active, as I mentioned, in the Chad Basin, even because of the insurgency. Yeah, so the team is like in Benue now, in Bauchi, in Gombe, right now, acquiring data for, as I say, carving out blocks. For all this, all part of the exploration. We also have few activity around Dahomey, where Lagos is. So we have the first discovery in Lagos by a company called Yinka Falawe. They are producing right now, and there are a lot of blocks actually around them There are some are open, some are allocated. They are also coming for exploration. Yes. So Anambra Basin too is another place that we are really
working in.
Yes.
So what determines where you go to carry out this exploration? How you just don't get up and go to either Benue? Something must have informed it. So what informs where you go to?
Yeah. You know, usually when you say basin, the rocks are different types. We have the hard rocks and the soft rocks. So the hydrocarbon occurs in the soft rocks, that is sedimentary rocks. So that's what we look for. We look at the sedimentary rock, then we look at the aging. Is it that old enough to generate hydrocarbon? That's one. Then you look at what is called trap. If you generate hydrocarbon, it may stay or may not stay, depending on the trap you have. There are some, can I say, sand that only form trap. When the hydrocarbon is generated deep down, they can't move out. So we look for those traps. Are they available or not? Okay, even if you have the sand, you have the hydrocarbon. If you don't have the trap, you're wasting your time. It won't stay. It will generate here and then move to another place. So you have to follow the trap. This is why am I going to get the trap? That's why the data acquisition is over a regional area. So we're looking for the trap and for the sedimentary basins too.
So if I'm to understand you, because you haven't given me the answer I'm looking for, do you from this office just decide that I'm going to Benue? Or there are certain things you would have seen that will make you say, oh, okay, Benue is a likely place that we can find so and so and so and so?
Yeah, because researches have been done years back, yes, on all these basins. Okay. So we already have, literatures on those basins, their age, possibility of occurring of hydrocarbon, possibility of occurring of traps, and all this. That has been done before.
Okay, so it's based on that you now decide where
yes,
to go.
we go for it, yes.
So though you said the oil bulk, the bid for oil blocks is left for government to decide, but when government does decide, what is the process for putting up these blocks for bid?
Okay, the first thing is, if government give us a go-ahead, we do a guideline. First of all, the process to go. Then the first thing we do is we advertise those blocks in the newspapers, TV, website, worldwide, because the bidders are coming all over the world. So we must make sure that we have reached in terms of media advert. Secondly, we do what we call interaction. We call it roadmap. Yes, we go to roadshow. We go to a lot of some countries. London, Houston, I think the next one, we're going to like Dubai, Asia. We do a roadshow. So, but before we go, we do advert. So once we go for the roadshow, investors come. So we give them a brief on each of the block, what we think the block could have, and what is possible signature bonus we are looking at. So investors will also look at it, have interest, and from there, we give them the debt and the process, and we roll out the guideline. After that, we give them forms to fill. That form mostly has to do with the company. If you are bidding, give us your details. Who are you? What's your technical capability? What is the financial capability? How are you going to raise the money? What is the plan do you have for this field or block? So all this come in the advert that we do. Yes. So it's really an open, competitive bidding. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, for talking to us. And Mr. Hassan, again, is the Deputy Director and Head, Basal Assessment and Lease Administration Unit of the Department of DPR. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, madam.
This is a special announcement from the Department of Petroleum Resources. Gas is safe. Gas cylinders are to be kept outside. If you're buying LPG cylinder, look for NIS number on the cylinder. Exchange of gas cylinders with retailers during purchase is best practice instead of refilling from another cylinder. Buy gas from certified LPG plant. Repairing faulty gas cylinders is unsafe. For more information, visit the nearest DPR office or our website www.dpr.gov.ng.
Well, we've come to the end of today's edition of the program. I'm really not excited that we have to go. But again, there's something we're cooking up for you for next week. I hope you've learned a thing or two on this, on which rock formation we have crude oil and gas, well, and how these are actually put in place by the staff of the Department of Petroleum Resources to keep our crude oil and gas flowing. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.